Everyone at the funeral froze when the officer screamed, "Hands where I can see them." The sound of his gun cocking sliced through the silence like a knife through glass, aimed directly at the grieving man in full military uniform. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The sun hung heavy over the small-town cemetery that afternoon, baking the gravel road and shimmering against the rows of American flags. General Marcus Harlan had returned home. Not as a soldier, but as a mourner, saying goodbye to his late father. A decorated veteran who'd been loved by the town, or so he thought. As the final prayer ended, a white patrol car screeched to a halt just beyond the gate. Out stepped Officer Dale Ketterman, a man known around town for his temper, his arrogance, and his hatred. He spotted Marcus, tall, dark-skinned, standing in dress blues, medals gleaming across his chest, and he decided that no man like that could belong here. Better aim, like that, could belong here. "What's your business here, boy?" Dale spat, his hand already resting on his holster. The murmurs around the gravesite went cold. Marcus turned slowly, eyes calm but steady, his voice quiet and dignified. "I'm burying my father. Better aim. Lulled. Better aim. Lulled." But Dale stepped closer, chest puffed, finger twitching near the trigger. "You think you can walk in here wearing that uniform like it means something?" Marcus didn't answer. Better aim. Love tutu. Lulled. Better aim. Love tutu. Love tutu. Lulled. Lulled. Love tutu. Lulled. 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 He simply looked at the folded flag in his hands, the same kind he'd presented to hundreds of widows during his 20 years of service. But this was different. This was his father's flag, and now at his father's funeral, he was being treated like an intruder. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. The air was so still it felt like time had stopped. Then came the shout, "Get on the ground!" Gasps erupted. His mother clutched her chest. Veterans in the crowd stiffened, disbelief washing over their faces. But Marcus didn't move. His voice dropped low. "Officer, do you have any idea who you're talking to?" For a second Dale hesitated, and that second changed his life. From the back an old man in a wheelchair wheeled forward, trembling with rage. "That's General Harlan, you fool," he commanded the 82nd Airborne. "He's got more honor in one breath than you've had your whole life." The silence that followed was heavier than gunfire. The officer's smirk faltered, but his pride didn't let go. "I don't care who he is," he snapped. "No one gives me orders." The moment cracked like thunder. Marcus stepped forward, unflinching, until the barrel of the gun was inches from his chest. He could see his own reflection in the trembling metal. "Then maybe," he said quietly, "it's time someone finally does." Whispers rose around them. Phones lifted, recording. Veterans stepped between the headstones, closing ranks around Marcus like soldiers forming a wall. Dale looked around, suddenly outnumbered, his authority collapsing under the weight of his own hatred. He screamed one last threat, but before he could finish, a commanding voice rang out. "Officer, drop your weapon." Everyone turned. The new voice belonged to the town's police chief, and the sight behind him froze Dale's blood. 2 FBI agents stood there, badges flashing in the afternoon sun. They'd been investigating the officer for months. Excessive force, racial profiling, falsified reports. And now, with dozens of witnesses and every camera rolling, they had their proof. Dale's hand shook as he lowered his gun. The clatter of it hitting the dirt sounded like justice itself. Weeks later, the town gathered again, this time not for a funeral, but for sentencing. The courtroom was silent, as the judge read the words everyone had waited for: life in prison, without parole. Marcus sat in the back, his uniform crisp, his posture strong. He didn't smile, didn't gloat. He simply closed his eyes, whispered a prayer for his father, and for a nation still learning what respect truly means. Outside, the same townsfolk who once looked away now stood with him, shaking his hand, thanking him, calling him sir. The world hadn't changed overnight, but something inside their hearts had shifted. Because courage isn't about fighting wars abroad. Sometimes it's about standing tall in the face of hate and refusing to kneel. Because justice doesn't whisper, it roars when the truth finally stands unafraid. And as the wind rustled through the cemetery, that evening, the old flags didn't mourn anymore. They saluted. If this story moved you, take a second to share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories of courage, kindness, and justice.